answer that question with a question from you. Did Lamar Odom want it as bad as Dirk Nowitzki and the rest of your teammates?
Yeah, I'm not going to play around with Lamar, but let's put it this way. If a guy can't be part of our culture, you get rid of him.
No. I'm not asking that question. I wasn't even asking. I respect the intricacies of that. What I'm saying to you is that anybody and their grandmother could see that Lamar Odom didn't want it.
But we're not talking about a game in the middle of the season.
I'm not talking about a game in the middle of the season. I'm talking about from the time that man got traded to Dallas, he really didn't want to be there. He was miserable because he wanted to be in L.A. What I'm saying is you can tell the difference. In other words, we've got.
No, I get your point.
That's all I'm saying.
Right, but you're in a closeout game of the finals. Right. And by the time you get to that point, the guys you're putting, it's not that they're like they were running the same rotation. Both teams shortened their rotation. So the guys that are in the game are the guys that are committed to play. Now, if there's a guy that you don't think is into it or you don't think deserves to play, you're not going to play.
Well, but there are times, and I'm not saying that, and I agree with your assessment. What I'm saying to you is that in the context of highly competitive competition, in terms of effort, I totally agree with you. But what I'm saying is when you look at LeBron and you take into account all the suffering that he has endured over the last several years because of the expectations that weren't lived up to, because of the way he had been maligned and ridiculed or what have you. If you're Kevin Durant, sure, you're going out there and you're giving the same level of effort. But because you're seen and perceived as a relatively quiet, humble dude that everybody loves and is rooting for.
Stephen. It's
a team game. I'm not disputing it.
It's a team game. So then that comes down to, are you putting your players offensively and defensively in a position to succeed? It's not a question of effort.
The only thing I'm addressing is that when somebody makes a statement about somebody else wanting it more, it really doesn't speak to effort per se sometimes. Sometimes it speaks to a level of desperation one has as opposed to one lacks.
Again, it's a team game. The worst thing, that's a perfect analogy,
okay,
Stephen.
Sure.
Because on one hand, wanting it bad enough, going to make it happen, making the shots, being the shot maker, you know what they call that? They call that hero ball. And you know what the number one killer of a team that's trying to come back? Hero ball. Right?
Russell Westbrook.
Anybody.
I'm just saying
anybody, right?
That's all I'm saying.
And so again, it comes down, look, I think the most underrated element in the NBA is coaching. Coaching matters.
I agree with that.
The hardest position to hire in all the sports is your head coach. It's harder to find the right coach than it is to find the right players. And so, to say that somebody just wants it more, was out there, that's like, look, who wants it more than Perk? Just look at his face.
I guess what I'm trying to say is that you're taking it as somebody being maligned, and what I'm saying is sometimes it speaks to the level of desperation one may have. That's all I'm saying. But that's
I think desperation is not the way to play the game, right?
Well, right or wrong, I'm just saying it happens. As a reporter, you're not beyond the pale to point that out. That's all I'm saying. But the other point I wanted to get to was this. You sat there and said, media members, we don't know anything. Let's address that stuff.
No, I said when you're talking about generalities. When you're talking generalities, right?
Okay.
And then when you talk specifics and you've done your homework, everybody's going to respect what you've said. If you take the time to call the guys and find out their position, and you're reporting what they tell you, guys are going to respect what you said.
But
when you start talking about, excruciating pressure.
Okay.
What the hell is that?
Well, I get you, but you also, and that's what you and Skip to discuss because I understand that. But you did say, reporters don't, we don't use facts, and I'm wondering first of all, when are teams going to stand up? And I'm certainly not talking about you because you're one of the more honest people I've ever encountered covering the NBA. But when are teams going to stand up? I mean, you have PR departments, you have media relations department, you have people that are there lying to reporters every day, misleading them, spinning it and sending it in a different direction.
Absolutely.
So what I'm saying, that's right. So what I'm saying to you is, if we talk to a player and he wants to talk off the record but doesn't have the courage to talk on the record. If you want to talk to a coach who's giving you this tidbit of information, but you can't, but please don't use this. I'm saying it happens. So what I'm saying is there are too many reporters that have proven that have proven their level of credibility simply because of the information, not only the information that they've acquired, but also they're talking to folks, and sometimes they're protecting.
Two different things, Stephen, right? One is just reporting what guys will say, right? And if you get access and you get a reporter, great, more power to you. That's doing your job,
That's right?
And then there's effort, right? There's effort around all the other elements of the game, right? There's going in. This is Disney, this is ABC, this is ESPN. You've got more resources than any team ever had. You can look, every team or most teams will go in there, and we've got 10 guys breaking down tape, breaking down elements, so we know exactly what goes on internationally.
But Mark, what you just broke down shows, listen, you can bring in, listen, we've had analysts all over ESPN. Nobody has said what you just broke down about what you did to the Miami Heat last year in the NBA.
But all you have to do is look at the tape. That's the point.
No, wait a minute.
Time
out, wait a minute, Mark. Well, listen, did you know it before you became an owner and you were inside those locker rooms?
No, it's not about...
You had access.
No.
So what I'm saying,
Steve, you don't need access to go down and sit down and break down a tape. So everybody's talking about officiating, right? Right? And I'm not going to say one way or the other. But if all you got to do is watch the tape and score
wait a minute, Mark. Wait a minute. You have analysts all over various networks throughout this country that have watched it, that break stuff down. And they still don't know what you know because you own the team and the coach is literally showing you what he's doing. They might not show it to somebody else. So even though you might break down the tape and you might see certain things, some of the nuances that
I don't agree with that, Stephen.
Come on. No, I'm telling you what coaches have told me.
I can watch other teams. I can watch other teams play.
I'm telling you what coaches have told me. So if I'm wrong because they gave it to me wrong.
Look, I can watch other teams' games. Right, and break down what they're playing, how they're playing it. I can look at officiating and know if it has an impact or not. And all I have to do is take notes.
And
all you got to do is watch the tape and take notes.
You still haven't answered my same question. Did you know that before you owned a team and had direct access to that?
But my point was, it has nothing to do with access. It has everything to do with effort, right? If it was important to me and if it was part of my job to understand the nuances of the NBA game before I bought the team, I would have done it.
I got news for you. Primarily, our primary responsibility is results. I will explain it to some degree, but I could really give 2 cents about why you went 15 and 67. If you're 15 and 67, you stink. Your record stinks.
So I stand by my point.
That's right.
My 2.5-year-old will sit there and break down tape, so he knows more than any of you guys about the NBA.
You might say that.
Thank you.
What I'm saying to you is this: if we're on the air and we've got 45 seconds to 2 minutes to talk about a particular subject, what do you want us to do? You want us to make
you're making my point,
no,
David.
I'm
you're making my exact point.
I don't think
so.
If
you're saying you just don't have the time to do it, then just say you don't have the time to do it.
What I'm saying is, as you break it down and you explain it, it comes down to bottom line results. I've seen many analysts have broke it down before, but at the end of the day, we're never going to understand what you understand because you have that level of access.
Okay, so I don't disagree that access can add color to what
content, substance,
well, context, right? To what you see on the tape. No question about that. But my point is, if you don't watch the tape, you don't know all the questions to ask. And if you surprise a coach by saying, "Why did you go to this? Why did you do that? What was the circumstances that led you to making this choice?" then I think you'd get better responses.
We have a time. Do I get to talk?
Rochelle, you want us to break here?
Can Mark
Can
stay?
you stay with us?
Yeah. All right.
Great. Wonderful. We're taking a timeout. Back with Mark Cuban from